My name is Time Bank Tom, and you need to know about this book. It's called The Abundant Community. It's been written by John McKnight and Peter Block. The Abundant Community. We are discovering that it takes a village to do more than raise a child. It is the key to a satisfying life. It turns out we need our neighbors and a community to be healthy, produce jobs, protect the land, and care for the elderly and those on the margin. Our consumer society constantly tells us that we are insufficient and that we must purchase what we need from specialists and systems outside the community. We outsource our health care, child care, recreation, safety, and satisfaction. We are trained to become consumers and clients, not citizens and neighbors. John McKnight and Peter Block take a thoughtful look at how this situation came about, what maintains it, and the crippling effect it has had on our families, our communities, and our environment. Right in our neighborhood, we have the capacity to address our human needs in ways that systems, which see us only as interchangeable units, as problems to be solved, never can. We all have gifts to offer, even the most seemingly marginal among us. This book suggests how to nurture voluntary, self-organizing structures that will reveal these gifts and allow them to be shared to the greatest mutual benefit. Block and McKnight recommend roles we can assume and actions we can take to reweave the social fabric that has been unraveled by consumerism and its belief that however much we have, it is not enough. Each neighborhood has people with the gifts and talents needed to provide for our prosperity and peace of mind. This book offers practical ways to discover them. It reminds us of our power to create a hope-filled life. It assures us that ultimately we can be the architects of the future where we want to live. John McKnight is Emeritus Professor of Education and Social Policy and co-director of the Asset-Based Community Development Institute at Northwestern University. He is the co-author of Building Communities from the Inside Out and the author of The Careless Society. He has been a community organizer and serves on the boards of several national organizations that support neighborhood development. Peter Block is a partner in Designed Learning, a training company that offers workshops designed by Block to build the skills outlined in his books. He is the author of Flawless Consulting, Stewardship, The Answer to How is Yes, and Community. He is the recipient of numerous awards, most recently the Organization Development Network's 2008 Lifetime Achievement Award. This book is published by B.K. Barrett Kohler Publishers Incorporated in San Francisco, and apparently it is also endorsed or a part of something called the American Planning Association, APA, Making Great Communities Happen, The Abundant Community, Awakening the Power of Families and Neighborhoods. John McKnight and Peter Block. Copyright 2010. And I've got copies here that I have at the Grand Blanc Farmers Market. I'll sell for $20 a piece. And that way you can have what this is as well, and together we can understand some similar ideas. Welcome. This book is an invitation into a new possibility for each of us to live a more satisfying life. We welcome how you, the reader, bring your own unique experience and insights into this book through the act of reading it. In this way, you are creating this book just as you are creating your life, your neighborhood, and the larger community of the world. This idea of co-creation is key to a satisfying life, which becomes possible when we join our neighbors to live and create a community that nurtures our family and makes us useful citizens. This possibility of more satisfaction through creating something with those around us is idealistic, and yet it is within our grasp. It is a possibility that is both visionary and realistic. Our culture tells us that a satisfying life can only be purchased. It tells us that in the place where we live, we don't have the resources to create a good life. that we must find the expertise from marketers and professionals. This book reminds us that a neighborhood can raise a child, provide security, sustain our health, secure our income, and care for our vulnerable people. Each of these is within the power of our community. This power is silent on most streets where we live. However, it is possible to give voice to a neighborhood that is able to speak the language of satisfaction, a language that the marketplace can never speak, in spite of its alluring promise that we can buy a good life. There is a neighborhood ideal that we all believe in, but it is usually a whisper. When we speak up for this ideal, our voices tell of our gifts, our hospitality, our relationships, and living by the habits of our heart. This book gives voice to the ideal of an abundant, or some call a beloved, community. It reminds us of our power to create a full and complete life. It assures us that when we join together with our neighbors, we are the architects of the future that we want to live within. Such a future is made possible through the untapped abundance of every community, especially our own. This is why the book concludes with ways in which neighbors have awakened to their abundance, and also why the book invites you to connect with the thousands of others around the world who are collecting the gifts of their family and neighborhood to create a more powerful community and satisfying life. Introduction. There is a growing movement of people with a different vision for their local communities. They know that real satisfaction in the good life cannot be provided by corporations, institutions, or systems. No number of great executives, central offices, technical innovations, or long-range plans can produce what a community can produce. People are discovering that satisfying possibilities for their lives are in the neighborhood, not in the marketplace. In many nations, local people have come together to pursue a common calling. They are groups of local people who have the courage to discover their own way, to create a culture made by their own vision. It is a handmade, homemade vision, and wherever we look, it is a culture that starts the same way, with an awakening. First, we see the abundance that we have individually as neighbors and in this place of ours. Second, we know that the power of what we have grows from creating new connections and relationships among and between what we have. Third, we know that these connections are no accident. They happen when we individually or collectively act to make the connections. They don't just happen by themselves. We also know that these three steps, which awaken us to our abundance, not our scarcities, can often be undermined by great corporate, governmental, professional, and academic institutions. By their nature, as systems, they say to us, "You are inadequate, incomplete, problematic, or broken. We will fix you. Go back to sleep." It's our calling as citizens to ignore the voices that create dependency, for we are called to find our own way, not to follow their way. Most all of us live in a democracy, a politics that gives us the freedom to create our vision and the power to make that vision come true. We strive to be citizens, people with the vision and the power to create our own way, a culture of community, capacity, connection, and care. Unfortunately, many leaders and even some neighbors think the idea of a strong community is something that's sort of nice, a luxury if you have the spare time, but not really important, vital, or necessary. However, we know from our work in communities around the globe that strong communities are vital, productive, and important. And above all, they are necessary because of the inherent limits of all institutions. No matter how hard they try, our very best institutions cannot do many things that only we can do. And the things that only we can do as a family and a neighborhood are vital to a decent, good, satisfied life. This is The Abundant Community by John McKnight and Peter Block. Every Sunday I'm at the Grand Blanc Farmers Market where I have copies of these available for sale at $20 a piece. I've read to you a little excerpt. I will also share with you the website and how to order the book online for yourself. This has been Time Bank Tom for The Abundant Community. You need to be one. We need to do this. Seriously.